Okay, so now we're down to the algebra for the review. So the first two questions are absolute values. Before you take the absolute value, you do need to simplify that. So this first one simplifies to be the absolute value of -4, which just gives you 4. And then remember for 11, 0 divided by a non-zero number is just 0. So I get the absolute value of 0, which is 0. Now for number 12, we are looking at integer operations. So remember, anytime you minus a negative, that is going to become a plus. Let me change colors there, so that'll be a plus. So this becomes -8 plus 2 plus 7. So -8 plus 2 gives us -6. -6 plus 7 gives us +1. 13 is also an integer operation. This is all multiplication. So I start with my first 2. That multiplies to give me a +18. And then 18 times -5 multiplies to give me a -90. All right, now our next 5 are all solving equations. So let me switch to a different color. We're going to start with some one-step equations. So for number 14, to get x by itself, I just need to subtract 11 to both sides. And I get x equals, now here the signs are the same, so I have to add and keep the sign. So I get x equals -17. For number 15, to get x by itself, I need to add 4 to both sides. The 4's cancel. I get -10 plus 4. The signs are different, so I subtract. Keep the sign of the larger number, and I get a -6. All right, now number 16 is a little bit trickier. I do have a fraction, so I'm going to multiply both sides by 2 to start with. These 2's are going to cancel, and I get -x equals -14. And then I can either multiply or divide both sides by -1. Make those negatives cancel, and I get x equals 14. All right, so 17 and 18 are slightly more difficult equations. Notice on the left-hand side, I do have some similar terms. And then on the right-hand side, I have some similar terms. So I'm going to combine these first. 6 minus 3 gives me 3. So the left becomes 3x plus 7. On the right, 4x minus 5x, that's -1x, or just -x, minus 5. So now I want to put all my x's on one side, all my constants on the other. So I'm going to add x to both sides. Those cancel. I get 4x plus 7 equals -5. Minus 7 to both sides, and I get 4x equals -12, since those are both negative. Then divide both sides by 4, and we get x equals -3. All right, so if we look at number 18, I don't see much I can do on the left, but on the right, I do need to distribute that -2. So that means that -2 is going to multiply to the 2x, and it's going to multiply to the 6. So I'm going to get 4x minus 6 equals 6x. Then when I multiply, I get a -4x, and then a minus 12. Okay, since -2 times +6 is -12. Now on the right-hand side, I've got some similar terms, so let's put those together. And I end up with 2x minus 12 on the right. All right, now I want to get all my x's on one side. So if I minus 2x, I end up with 2x minus 6 equals -12. I'm going to add 6 to both sides. Let me bring that up here. I end up with 2x equals -6. Divide by 2, and we get a solution of x equals -3. All right, so our last 4 problems are going to be our fractions. So remember, for adding and subtracting fractions, I do need a common denominator. So I'm going to leave myself a little space here. So for this first problem, I'm thinking about 5 times 4, which would give me 20. So my common denominator will be 20. To get a 20 from 5, I need to multiply by 4. So I do that top and bottom. Then this second fraction, I need to multiply by 5 top and bottom. So that gives me 12 over 20 plus 15 over 20. And that gives me 27 over 20. Now that's reduced, so I can stop there. Now if you look at this next problem, it has the same fractions that I had in the previous problem. So the 3/4 that we see here, we also see here. So I know that's going to become 15 over 20. And then if we look at the other fraction, it's 3/5. Well, I had 3/5 over here, and it became 12 over 20. The only difference is I'm subtracting. So that gives me 3 over 20. All right, now the last two, you'll notice some of the same numbers, just different operations. So if I'm thinking about a common denominator for 5, 2, and 7, I can always multiply them together. And that would give me 70. All right, so let's think about what I need to multiply by. Okay, so for 5, I need to multiply by 2 times 7, which is 14. So 14 over 14. For 2, I need to multiply by 5 and 7, so the other number, so that would be 35. And for the 7, I need to multiply by the 2 and the 5, which would be 10. So I multiply the top and bottom by 10. All right, so let's see what that gives us. We get 28 over 70 plus 35 over 70 plus 30 over 70. And if I add those all together, I come out with 93 over 70. All right, and that's simplified. That's as far as I can go. Now for this last problem, it's going to look exactly like 21, except I'm changing a sign. So 2/5 still becomes 28 over 70, but now I'm going to do minus 35 over 70 plus 30 over 70. So if we think about the minus sign here, if I do 28 minus 35, that's going to be negative 7. And then negative 7 plus 30 is going to give me back a 22. So I end up with 22 over 70. These are both even numbers, which means I can reduce. So I can divide the top and bottom by 2. And that's going to give me 11 over 35 for my final answer.